Batman has one of the best networks of heroes around. He's just really good at inspiring and attracting or finding the right people to mentor and turn into heroes. All of them have grown up to become their own unique kinds of heroes, each embodying an aspect of Batman that inspires them, but becoming a hero in their own right. Batman is one of those heroes that if he dropped dead tomorrow, like the premise for the Gotham Knights trailer, we know Gotham would likely be fine. There may be only one Batman, but he has a team of bats waiting in the wings to take his place and cover him when needed. Pardon those puns. It's part of what makes him so powerful. Welcome back, Nerd Squad. Today we're going to be taking a look at all of our favorite members of the Bat Family team and just what makes them so great, as we count down the top 10 most powerful Bat Family members. And although we all know the top Bat is Batman himself, I feel like including him on this list would be cheating, so I acknowledge the Batman is one of the most powerful superheroes around, period, but don't expect to see him named on this list. This list is about the family members alone who have supported him over the years. If you are a fan of the Bat Fam and all other characters and comics DC, check out our DC playlist by clicking on over here for even more dark content. And stick around to the end of this list where I will have some bonus content coming your way in the form of comment responses. Alright, now let's get counting. Number 10. Signal. Duke Thomas's parents were victims of the Joker, but before that, years before, they helped Batman during his 0 year, rescuing him and taking care of him. After Duke's parents were driven insane by the Joker, he became a vigilante, joining the team known as the Robins. Batman later offered him the opportunity to join the Bat Family, and Duke Thomas took up the mantle Signal. He also found out he had metahuman abilities, making him one of the few superpowered members of the Bat Family. Signal's powers allow him to perceive light differently from most humans. He can view light at superhuman speeds, giving him sort of clairvoyant abilities. Number 9. Batwoman. Batwoman is Kate Kane, Batman's cousin in the comics. This version of the character was part of a redesign first appearing in 2006. She was originally a member of the military who was discharged after they learned she was gay. Since then, with the help of her father and sometimes the help of her cousin, Bruce Wayne, she became a vigilante going as Batwoman. Batwoman is not just a skilled combatant but also boasts of genius level intellect, like many of the other Batman family members, and can speak multiple languages. She has an indomitable sense of will that has allowed her to withstand supernatural and magical influences, and is just as stealthy as the Bat himself. Number 8. Red Hood. Red Hood was originally Batman's second Robin. His civilian name is Jason Todd, and he even ended up being adopted by Bruce. During his time as Robin, he ended up leaving Batman and heading out on a journey to find his birth mother. On that adventure, which Batman ended up finding him and joining him on, he ran into the Joker. His mother sold him out, and the Joker then beat Jason Todd almost to death before blowing him and his mother up with a bomb. Batman arrived too late to save Jason or his mother, and this has remained a failure which Batman considers one of his greatest. Todd would later return as Red Hood, being resurrected in part and guided for a time by Talia al Ghul. When he did return to Gotham, it was originally as somewhat of a villain. However, Jason would eventually join the Bat Family again, having more of an anti-hero status as someone who isn't opposed morally to killing those villains that he feels deserves it, and bringing his own brand of justice to Gotham. Jason isn't against using guns, but also doesn't need them to be a badass. He has also been shown to be highly skilled with a sword. Duke retrained him after he was resurrected, also granting him the ability to be in control of his mind on a deeper level, giving him telepathic resistance and strong mind control defenses. Number 7. Damian Wayne. Damian Wayne is the son of Batman and Talia al Ghul, daughter of one of Batman's greatest enemies and sometimes ally, Ra's al Ghul. Or Ra's al Ghul, depending on how you like to say it. Damian Wayne was dropped on Batman's doorstep when he was just a child, and having been raised by his mother, a skilled assassin, and raised along with the League of Assassins themselves, he proved to be a problem and challenge to Bruce originally, as he had both a sense of entitlement surrounding his being a Wayne and had no aversion to killing people. Due to his training from a young age, he has proved his prowess and efficiency in combat as a deadly opponent to those villains he comes up against. He has made quick work of well-known Batman villains like Victor Zsasz and Man-Bat. He's also proved in the past to be a worthy adversary for other Robins as well, although now he sees them more like brothers, so that's good. Number 6. Orphan. one of the deadliest members of Batman's team, in the same vein of Damian actually, but without the attitude really. Orphan is Cassandra Cain. She is the daughter of David Cain and Lady Shiva and was rigorously trained from a young age to become a killing machine. She was not permitted to speak and never taught how to while growing up, instead communicating solely through body language, making her an expert combatant as she can use one's body language to read how and when they will attack. It's also very hard to intimidate Cassandra when it comes to the shock factor, as she was desensitized to death and violence from a very young age, being forced to witness multiple murders. She also has the potential to high-five you hard enough to break your hand. Fortunately, she's learned not to do that. Number 5. Batgirl. Batgirl isn't even just a Batgirl. She has been known by both the Batgirl mantle and her codename Oracle, a genius hacker, computer whiz, and master data sleuth for Batman and the leader of the Birds of Prey after she became paralyzed by the Joker from the waist down when he shot her through the spine. She not only has a brilliant mind, but she also is a skilled combatant. Even before she was Batgirl, she was known as a driven and determined young woman by those she trained with. Before even becoming Batman's protege, she studied martial arts and ballet, both of which helped to provide her with the strength, agility, and flexibility needed later on in combat. Bab's reflexes are so sharp we've even seen her dodge bullets in combat, and easily disarm opponents who are armed with guns. Truly a Bat family member that Batman would be proud of. Even when she felt shame surrounding letting herself be shot by the Joker, Batman was still by her side. She was worried he would also be disappointed in her, like she kind of was with herself, but he only expressed concern for her well-being. Barbara rarely, if ever, disappoints Batman. Number 4. Red Robin. Tim Drake is known for being one of the smartest Robins around. He is a brilliant detective, in fact so good that he is expected to be on the same level as one of the world's greatest detectives, Batman himself. In fact, it's also been implied that Tim Drake will likely one day surpass Batman when it comes to his detective skills. The way that he originally became Robin was through discovering the secret identities of both Batman and Robin, who was Jason Todd at the time. Following Todd's death, Drake noticed that Batman seemed to need a Robin to help give him balance, and ended up convincing the Dark Knight to take him under his wing, making him the third Robin of Batman. Number 3. Nightwing. Dick Grayson has taken Batman's place before, and what's more, he was fairly good at it. In fact, he's probably one of the most likely currently to be the person to take over for Batman, as long as he's got his memories, which have been gone more often than not in recent years. Dick was Batman's first Robin, and through the comics we've seen him become one of Batman's steadfast allies, almost appearing like an adoptive son to Bruce, destined to take up the mantle of Batman one day. Well, actually, maybe, if we're lucky and the writers let it happen, we'll actually get to see him take up the mantle on a more permanent level. That'd be pretty cool. Number 2. Azrael. After Batman's back was broken by Bane, Sean Paul Valley was the one who Bruce turned to take up the Batman mantle in his absence. Jean Paul proved a powerful force when it came to his time as Batman, so powerful in fact that it took Batman, Robin, and Nightwing to take him down. The final showdown of course came down to Azrael and Batman, and in the end, Jean Paul surrendered the armor, cape, and cowl. Number 1. Alfred Pennyworth. Alfred might not have any superpowers, but he really doesn't need any to be considered one of the most powerful and influential members of the Batman family. Alfred is Batman's butler, his guide, his father figure, and has saved him in more than one way many times throughout the comics. As we can see currently in the Joker War story arc from the 2016 Batman run, which will be ending shortly, Batman is lost without Alfred. Alfred also has tons of past military experience and was a professional actor, and was sought after by the Wayne family to take his father Jarvis's place as their butler. In the Injustice series, Alfred also reveals there is no length he would not go to when it comes to protecting Bruce Wayne, who he thinks of as a son. After Superman breaks Batman's back, it's Alfred who forces him to back down, ingesting a pill which grants him superhuman strength and durability, allowing him to break Superman's nose. Yeah, Alfred's a badass. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. Who are some of your favorite Bat family members? Do you enjoy when Batman calls on his Bat family to back him up? Who's your first pick to replace the Bat, if anyone? Let us know in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Times the Avengers Killed Tony Stark. Zango Fwet comments, honorable mentions, Black Panther kills Tony Stark in a war between America and Wakanda in Black to the Future. Oh my goodness, that sounds like such a good one. I'm just gonna add that to my reading list, because because I haven't read that one yet and it sounds great. The very worst luck suggests top 10 Amanda's outfits. Maybe I need to add some fashion videos to my own channel when I get that up and going. You know my Jossum sweater would be on my top 10 for that though, right? I love that sweater. I'm Jossum. Matthew Mori reflects, if you are killing a member of your team more than once out of aggression and for the screwed up things he's done, you might not want him/her as a team member. Just seems like common sense. I agree with you, Matthew, but comics? And that's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your thoughts and feels shouted out in a future video. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you as always to stay nerdy, YouTube.
What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd, the nerdiest channel on the internet ever. End of story. That's it. Don't ever say anything different. Every TV show always has the one weird episode, you know, the ones where they just like try and shake it up a bit, maybe make it a musical all of a sudden, or they make this weird alternate reality version of the current run. Like in Supernatural, when they were all of a sudden on a TV show. I mean, it's fun, but sometimes these one-offs work and sometimes they don't at all. Well, comic books have a lot of those, like a lot of those. Here to break down 10 of the weirdest Superman stories in no particular order, kind of. I'm Taylor McWatters, let's get to it. Number 10, Superman vs. Muhammad Ali. Yeah, you heard me. This one-shot made its debut back in 1978, written by Dennis O'Neil and Neil Adams. It featured the Man of Steel and of course Muhammad Ali. So, how is this a thing? Well, it was part of the all-new collector's edition, numbered C56. So basically this alien named Ratlar, who is part of a species known as the Scrub, visits Earth, and they demand that they pick their best fighter to go against theirs. Theirs being a behemoth named Hunya. If they refuse, well, the Scrub will then destroy the planet. So Muhammad Ali argues that since Superman isn't technically from Earth, he must be the one who fights. Ratlar is amused by this, as he wants to know who's better of the two. So he pins the two champs up against each other. Now, of course, you're thinking, dude, Superman would dust him, hands down, no competition at all. Well, the fight is set to take place on Boreas, which is orbiting a red star. So, no powers for Supes. So Muhammad Ali trains Superman to become a boxer. So they start training in Superman's Fortress of Solitude. Might as well train without powers, right? Get used to it? Well, the unlikely duo are given 24 hours to train, but using a time warping device, they're able to train for a couple months. Ratlar figures out the device is being used, and boom, training's over, boys, wrap it up, nice try. So the fight is broadcasted intergalactically, thousands tune in. Superman puts up a good fight, but ultimately Muhammad Ali is the greatest boxer ever to live, so Supes goes down. So now, Muhammad Ali has to fight Hunya. Even predicting which round he'll go down by. 4, he says it's 4. Now of course Muhammad Ali doesn't hold up too well against an alien at first, but he eventually knocks him out of the ring in the 4th round. See ya, dude. Number 9, Rainbow Hands. Yep, I said Rainbow Hands. Making its debut in 1958, the issue titled Superman's New Power. This might be even weirder than the Muhammad Ali one. So after detecting a disturbance under Metropolis, Superman checks it out, only to discover it's indeed an alien ship. So as soon as Clarky comes in contact with the ship, it explodes. Later on, he goes to fight some crooks, because you know how he does it. When he goes to use his powers, they're actually a bit different now. They're actually rainbow beams. Yeah, he shoots rainbows out of his fingers. How magical. This causes all of the crooks to become non-aggressive. And if that wasn't weird enough, soon after he discovers that he can shoot mini clones of himself at people. The people of Metropolis love this. I mean, of course they do. They get so attached to the clones that even Superman himself is like, hey guys, what about me though? Great, come on, I shot the clones. I'm the guy. Number 8, the Snare. This issue was released with Action Comics Volume 1, issue number 592 back in 1987. The cover of this issue, first of all, is enough to draw you in. I mean, it shows Superman with Big Barda, like they're making out. And who's in the background? Mr. Miracle. Just watching the whole thing in horror. He even says the line, "Superman and my wife?" And it's laid across the cover. So what's going on? Mr. Miracle goes home to find Darkseid sitting on his couch. Immediately asking where Barda is, Darkseid gives him a tape to play, which may be the scariest moment of his life. I mean, if Darkseid just handed me a tape, I'd be like, no, what did you do? No, I have to rewind it first. So he clicks play and sees Big Barda dancing for sleaze. They don't show it, but it's heavily implied that it's in nature. So Sleaze takes mind-controlled Barda and Superman to an adult film director. Yep, and his name is Evan Grossman. His idea is that the adult tape would make enough money to accumulate an army to go against Darkseid. I mean, you know, that or a charity. Sure. And then in comes Mr. Miracle to save the day, releasing the two from Sleaze's mind control. That would have been a real awkward brunch if Mr. Miracle didn't show up. Quite the miracle if you ask me. Number 7, Super Menace. Coming from Superman Volume 1, Issue 137, titled The Super Brat from Krypton. This one's fun and, of course, super weird. So Superman has a twin, or clone, rather. That's right, so when Jor-El shot Kal-El into space after the destruction of Krypton, that ship ended up crashing into a derelict space satellite and was then duplicated. The ship and the super baby inside of it. Now there's 2 of each. Now of course we know what happens to Superman's ship, but what about the other one? That craft was found by criminals named Derek and Bonnie. So they see this as a golden opportunity to raise a supervillain. Not a bad idea, honestly. I mean, it's pretty... Alright, cool. So they have this little super bat, and they tell him not to be seen until the right time, because that would be pretty bait, you know? So a kryptonite meteor crashes, and they realize that it doesn't affect little super bad. Oh. So years go by, and the super bad baby named himself Super Menace. That name does sound cool. Alright, it's cooler than what I was saying. And it's finally time to make his debut and go against Superman. So they fight, and Superman used his X-ray vision to see that this clone has something off about him. Super Menace is pissed now because Superman's like, yo, you don't even have a normal body? What's going on with you? And then Super Menace makes it rain kryptonite meteors. This almost kills Superman until Super Menace decided he doesn't want to be a Super Menace anymore. So he saves Superman and goes back home. And that's when he turns his body back into raw energy, destroying him and his not so nice adoptive parents in the process. Number 6, Red and Blue 162. That's right, Superman Volume 1, Issue 162, titled The Amazing Story of Superman Red and Superman Blue. It's an all imaginary issue. So that's cool, I think. We just talked about Superman's evil clone. Well, that's not the first time they've had the idea of another Superman. So the Kandorians aren't too happy with Superman at this point. He was supposed to enlarge Kandor, cure kryptonite, and stop all the crimes ever on Earth. And he couldn't do it. Wow, what a loser, dude. You're fired, Superman. That's really, you can't do all those things? Embarrassing, if you ask me. So he splits himself up into 2 identical beings, which, you guessed it, are Superman Red and Superman Blue. And they both crush it. They recreate Brainiac's enlarging ray, they bring Kandor back to its original size on an all-new Krypton. Step 2, get rid of all the evil. Easy peasy. The Red and Blue Super 2 create an anti-evil ray, fancy, and ends all crimes on Earth. Superman Red marries Lois Lane, and Superman Blue marries Lana Lang. And they all live happily ever after, even Lex Luthor. Number 5, ants.
Ants. Ants. Ant-Man.
That's right, we got ants. Coming at you from Action Comics Volume 1, Issue 296, The Invasion of Ants. And it sounds just as crazy as you would guess. The cover alone is super weird and almost inviting. It shows Superman on the side of a building with an ant mask on. He's even saying the words, "Follow me, ant soldiers, buzz 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 buzz. We must capture Lois Lane, buzz 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 buzz. She will be our queen." Okay, you got it. So after a colony of giant ants was mutated from a nuclear war on another planet, they decided to come and check out Earth. As they all do, because we're so cool and all. So Superman uses red kryptonite radiation to give himself an ant's head. Not a mask. See, I said mask earlier, I was throwing you off. It's a head. He's got an ant's head. And he communicates with them. This is like the ultimate amalgam character. Clark Pym, anybody? I'd pay to see that. Number 4.
Run! It's Godzilla!
Yep, we even got flaming dragons. Superman Volume 1, Issue 142, appropriately titled Flame Dragon from Krypton. So Clark Kent and Lois Lane are heading to the Metropolis Space Exploration Convention Center because somebody apparently captured a space beast. Yeah, okay. So they arrive and yeah, there's straight up a space beast. Soups knows what it is. It's actually called the Kryptonian Flame Beast. I could have guessed that one, I mean, come on. So it sprays fire all over Clark, and all that is left is still Clark, but his regular clothes have been burned away. So he starts fighting the beast as Superman. And then the Flame Beast swallows a red kryptonite meteor. So Superman keeps his distance. He knows what's going on. He's dodging hits. He's waiting until the red kryptonite's effects starts taking action. And it weakens the beast, so Superman splashes it with water, freezes it with his icy dentine ice breath, and he hoofs it out to space. Then when Lois returns to the scene, she sees Clark all bandaged up, and the doctors are like, oh, he has minor burns, and she buys it, of course. The doctors being Batman and Supergirl in disguise. Number 3, Red Kryptonite. Action Comics Volume 1, Issue 283 has a plot that I would pay millions of dollars to see on the big screen. It would be so weird to see this. Titled The Red Kryptonite Menace, we find Jandex and Zogar, two chameleon criminal men from the future. So they travel back in time and they set up camp on a hidden island in Metropolis Bay. Their goal is to attract red and green kryptonite from space. So of course the military is onto them, but they disguise themselves. How, you ask? Oh, as a pile of rocks and a tree. And it works, because that's how easy it is. They set a trap with red kryptonite and plan to get Superman to go near it. The plan works like a charm, and upon Superman's arrival, his health starts to decline. So he wishes for thick fog, and it comes true. Okay, so what's next? Superman can grant himself wishes now? How is this possible? Okay, so then he wishes for, you guessed it, Sherlock Holmes to come and help him. This red kryptonite allows for him to wish for Sherlock Holmes. Benedict or Robert, which one did you go with? We're curious. Number 2, the Bat Witch. And no, I don't mean a sandwich made of bats, because that would be disgusting. And this channel, we don't show anything disgusting here. Batman getting his hands and head cut off though? That's more like it. Now we're talking. Released in 1969, issue 186 of The World's Finest, we find Batman in quite the pickle, to say the least. So Superman and Batman have actually traveled back in time to solve a mystery of a broken bust that resembled Batman. So they go back in time and they rescue a lady named Sylvia Ward. Now Sylvia was actually accused of witchcraft. So Superman helps her stay afloat and Batman swims with her back to shore. And then she thanks Batman by kissing him right in the lips. Then Superman goes to introduce himself and Batman's like, nah, I got this, and takes her to the local bar. Oops! So Superman decides to use this era in his favor. He dressed up as Batman and starts doing like crazy witchcraft stuff. So much so the town deems him an actual witch. So he's about to be burned at the stake and then a thunderstorm rolls in. And everyone's like, I love watching people burn, but can't stand the rain. We're out of here. Everybody leaves except for, you guessed it, Ben Franklin. Sorry, what? Yeah, Ben Franklin, like the Ben Franklin. He's just hanging out there apparently. He actually tries to free Batman with one of his experiments, but Superman doesn't let that happen. Eventually, even Ben Franklin's like, all right, man, you're on your own. See ya, dude. And when Batman asks Superman why he's doing this, Superman says, figure it out yourself. So next time you catch your friend maybe flirting with your crush, just frame them for witchcraft. It works every time. And finally, number 1, Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen. Volume 1, issue 116 to be exact. Okay, I know I said this list wasn't in a particular order, but I can't not do this one last. This issue came out in 1968 and I don't think we'll ever see it on the big screen, because if we do, I'm going to walk out of said big screen. The cover alone is enough. I mean, it shows Superman flying in saying, Jimmy, what's gotten into you? Why are you acting like an ape? And then the actual ape on the cover says, because he is an ape, Superman, in my body, I'm the real Jimmy Olsen. Yeah, they switched bodies. I'm surprised that camera didn't explode in Jimmy the Ape's hand. Apes are so strong, it's insane. So after a malfunction of a machine, they switched bodies. So Jimmy Olsen's body, Jimmy Olsen, starts screaming around like an ape. But Jimmy Olsen, the real person, however, the dude embraces it. He buys a green pinup suit, even a cool hat. He rocks the look. He even goes to work. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna be a simian sensation here at the office. You tell him, Jimmy. Well, there you have it, guys. Which weird Superman moment did we miss? Let us know in the comments so we can go and laugh at those this weekend. Thank you so much for watching. While we still have you, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and then when you're done, go to the notification button. So when we do our live premieres, you're up to date and we can all chat together and be best of friends. I'm Taylor McWatters. Later, skaters.
Who doesn't want to have a dad as cool and powerful as Superman? Welcome back, Nerd Squad. Today we're going to be looking at all of those proud kids of Supermans. Some of them are from Prime Earth and others are from alternate futures and realities. Some are good, some are evil, but all are his kids in their own way. Join me as we count down the top 10 children of Superman. And if you love Superman and the world of DC, click on over here to check out our DC playlist filled with all of our DC focused videos. And before we get counting, we have an exciting new channel that I need to tell you about. Top 10 Central Vibe. Head on over and smash that subscribe to come vibe with us. Here's a short clip to give you a sense of the hilarity that will be ensuing on a daily basis on this channel.
Just like blup blup blup. Oh, and that was for sure poo. This is gonna be Top 10 Central Vibe. Hope you guys like it. It's gonna be starring me all the time. We're in the Illuminati.
Alright, Alright, now let's get back to some comics and get counting. Number 10. Cir-El. Cir-El originally believed she was Kal-El's daughter. She told Superman as much, believing she was the daughter of him and Lois Lane from the future. A genetic test would reveal that she was telling the truth in part, and genetically was Superman's daughter. In reality, it would later be revealed that she was actually created by Brainiac to bring about the end of the world. He created her using Superman's genetic material and implanted her with the Yes virus, a techno-organic virus that when unleashed would allow him to rule the world. She was also designed to be strong enough to defeat Superman. Brainiac had also intended to use Cir-El to destroy his nemesis. Once she learned of this, she decided to erase herself from existence in order to protect the world and her pseudo-father, Superman. Number 9. Van-El. Van-El comes to us from the famous Superman story For the Man Who Has Everything. He was a non-powered son of Superman who existed in Superman's sweetest dreams. Superman experienced these dreams after being exposed to an alien parasitic organism known as the Black Mercy. It drains its victims' life energy while giving them pleasant, hallucinogenic dreams. In Superman's dreams, Krypton was never destroyed and he still lived there. He was married and had a son named Von-El. Technically, if they were on Earth, Von-El would likely have powers similar to Superman, but because he and Kal-El were on Krypton, where there is no yellow sun to power either of them, they were both just normal, like other Kryptonians. Number 8. Erzod. Erzod comes to us from the Justice Lord's universe. He was created to be the perfect genetic heir to the throne of Earth, and to help usher in an era of peace after years of war. He was created using the genetic material of Wonder Woman and Lord Superman, but is considered to be somewhat weaker in terms of power levels than his parents. Originally, Brainiac got a hold of Erzod, planning to use and raise him as his own weapon of destruction. Fortunately, he was saved by Superman from the Batman Beyond universe and taken in by their Justice League. While his inherited powers might not be as strong as his parents, Erzod also has the unique ability of being able to control technology, which would prove useful later on in his fight against Brainiac. Man, Brainiac's always making all these fake children. Or well, I guess he didn't make this one, but he wanted to like mold it. Brainiac's always up to no good. That's what I'm learning from this list. Number 7. Lara Lane-Kent. Lara Kent is the unborn daughter of Lois Lane and Superman in the Injustice universe. In a dream that Superman has during year 3, we get to see what her life would have been like had that fateful day gone differently for Superman and he hadn't been made to kill his wife and unborn daughter. In this alternate dream reality, Lara is raised by both her parents, her first word notably being mom. When her powers begin to manifest, she is taught by her father and his friends on the Justice League about how to use them. Lara at one point as a young adult looks down at the Earth with her father from space and wonders if the fighting and crime will ever stop. Her dad tells her that they could, if they wished, use their powers to enforce order to save the humans of Earth from themselves, forcing them to have peace. But Lara teases her dad, responding that he sounds like a B-grade villain saying that. Instead, Lara ends up working as an ambassador for the League, helping everyday people to learn how to fight for themselves, instead of just always continuing to have superheroes fighting for them. Number 6. Ariella Kent. Ariella Kent is the daughter of Linda Danvers, formerly Supergirl, and Earth 1 Superman. Ariella lived happily with her parents, presumably until the Spectre informed Linda that she needed to return to her own parallel reality. If you're wondering if it's creepy that Supergirl and Superman have a child together in an alternate timeline, it kinda is if you just hear that without context, but with context, it really isn't that creepy. Linda Danvers is not a Supergirl who is related at all to Clark Kent, not even in her own reality, and even if she had been, which she isn't, this Clark Kent was actually from a different alternate Earth altogether. So no, they're not related. After Linda returned to her reality, Spectre agreed to allow her daughter to live. Ariella, as a 6-year-old girl, was supremely powerful, but didn't have the maturity to wield her powers wisely, because she's just a little kid. She was capable of time travel and mostly traveled through space, playing and unknowingly creating mass destruction wherever she went. That's what happens when you're a kid that is that powerful. You just play with planets and blow them up. Yikes. Number 5. Joel Kent. Joel Kent comes to us from Earth 3839. There he was the son of Superman and Lois Lane. However, while Lois was pregnant with Joel, she was exposed to gold kryptonite by the villains Joker and Lex Luthor. This caused her son to be born without any powers. Lex used Joel's shame to his advantage, claiming that Joel's father was the one responsible for this. Lex said that Superman had exposed his unborn son to gold kryptonite on purpose, fearful that his son would become even more great than him. him. This seeming revelation caused Joel to become more detached from his family, thinking of Lex as more of a father than his own father. He also became more cruel over time. Eventually, he became a villain to his family, accepting a serum that Lex said would restore his powers. Number 4. Lara Kent Wayne. Lara was the daughter of Superman and Lois from the same alternate Earth of 3839, born 3 years after her brother. She herself had superpowers similar to her father's, though weaker due to her hybrid human and Kryptonian physiology. Lara would grow up to become a hero and take up the mantle Supergirl, and ended up falling in love with the newest Batman, who was actually Bruce Wayne Jr., the son of the original Batman. Bruce Jr. took up the mantle of Batman following the previous Batman, Dick Grayson's, death. At Kara's wedding, her brother Joel showed up, having received powers from the serum Lex Luthor had given him, and attacked his family, killing Kara. Number 3. Jonathan Lane-Kent. I love that throughout Superman stories we get to see how powerfully good the super family can be and how powerfully evil they can potentially be as well. Bottom line, either way you slice it, they're powerful. John Lane-Kent is the son of Superman and Lois Lane from an alternate future. It was believed that he had died due to an irreparable medical issue with his DNA. Shockingly, it was later revealed that the villain Harvest managed to actually save John, taking his body to the past and resurrecting him. Harvest had his own plans for what John would become and turned him into a villain, using him as a weapon to destroy all metahumans. John is more powerful than his father, sharing his powers, but also possessing the ability to turn invisible. It's later revealed that the original Superboy, Cir-El, was basically a clone of John, and not Superman like we originally thought. Shocking. Number 2. Hyperman. Hyperman is the son of Wonder Woman and Superman from the Kingdom Come reality. Here, Hyperman, as a baby, was raised by Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman. However, he was then later stolen away by a villain named Gog, who intended to raise the infant to become a villain. Fortunately, the present day and alternate Kingdom Come future counterparts of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman managed to team up to defeat Gog, with the added babysitting assistance of Baby John himself from the future, where he is revealed to be the hero known as Hyperman. Hyperman ends up being a hero who has the combined powers of both of his parents and also has the ability to time travel. Number 1. Jonathan Samuel Kent, or just John Kent if you will. This is Superman and Lois Lane's child who was born during the events of Convergence. He grew up without really ever knowing the truth of who his parents were, growing up relatively normal but suspicious of what his parents really did. The Kents changed their name to the Whites, escaping the fate of their dying universe and taking up residence on the new Prime Earth, trying to raise John normally and not get in the way of their alternate selves in this new world. Lois still worked as a writer and journalist, but publishing her works under the pseudonym Author X, and Superman kept his superheroic activities under wraps and secretive, going out at night and appearing as a shadow of Superman, as this world kinda already had their own Kal-El. Eventually, the New 52 Superman died, and so the Whites became the Kents once more, and stepped into their usual roles once again. John's powers manifested when he first hit puberty, discovering his laser vision when he accidentally killed the family cat. Shortly afterward, he would take up the mantle Superboy and become a hero alongside his father, starting a rivalry and later a friendship with Batman's son, Damian Wayne. But that's all behind him now, as he went to space, grew up quickly, and now he's a member of the Legion of Superheroes and goes on adventures in the future. Because comics. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. Who are some of your favorite of Superman's kids? Do you have any favorites of his various clone children? So many clones. Do you like when members of the super family turn evil, or do you prefer them as a united heroic front? Let us know in the comments below. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight. Till next time, you stay nerdy, YouTube. I bought it, and then Cole was like, this is a meme shirt. He was like, this is the meme, and I was like, what meme?
You're like, I just like it.
Huh? I was like, it's Patrick, and he was like, yeah, no, it's a meme though. You don't know the meme? And I was like, I don't know any memes. The opposite of like a meme queen. Meme pleb. I like how I paused like the clip was gonna play while I was talking or something. Gotta wait for that clip. No you don't. This is the future, Amanda. It's the future. Originally, Brainiac got a hold of Erzod, planning to use and raise him. Oh my. Oh, okay. What was that?
That was not me, I swear.
This is a ghost, probably.
Dude.
Back. Yeah.
Something is happening.
Maybe just the end of the world. It's fine. I'm sure it's fine. There's no comets coming for us yet as I look out the window. So, I think we're safe.
A ghost got control of me.
A ghost was like, you're gonna go to the end of the script now. See how you like that? See how you like them apples? Do you remember what you wrote, Amanda? Can you just recite it from memory?
We all know Superman has had to go up against some of the strongest and scariest villains, and even heroes. Up against the likes of big names such as Lex Luthor, Brainiac, Darkseid, and even Batman himself, Superman has usually been able to come out on top. Now, despite many of his villains being staples in the DC universe, there are a ton out there that have not had their fair share of time in the spotlight. So, what is going on, all you nerdy folk out there? My name is Jack, and today we're going to be talking about some of the lesser known and underrated villains who have gone toe-to-toe with the Man of Steel himself. Let's get right into it. Number 10, Nuclear Man. Regarded by many as one of the strangest and most half-baked Superman villains to date, Nuclear Man hasn't had too many appearances outside of his introduction in 1987 Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. He was created by Lex Luthor from a strand of hair containing Superman's DNA, which he threw into a genetic stew. Superman is actually the one responsible for this villain's birth, though, as he wasn't fully born until Superman threw the nuclear missile containing the device that had the stew in it into the sun. Having been created using Kryptonian DNA, he possesses powers similar to Superman, such as invulnerability, energy projection, flight, and of course the standard super strength and speed. However, Nuclear Man needs to have constant exposure to sunlight in order to use them. If he's left out of the sun for too long, he becomes completely immobilized and must wait for some more sunlight in order to recharge. In the movie, Superman stopped Nuclear Man for good by causing a sudden solar eclipse when he moved the moon in front of the sun, then dropped him into the heart of a nuclear reactor where he could become an abundant source of energy for the remainder of his days. Now, like I said before, Nuclear Man hasn't made too many appearances outside of Superman 4, but if you want to see him in comic book form, check him out in his one-off appearance in 2018 Superman Volume 5, Number 2. Number 9, Microwave Man. Louis Paget from Earth 1, known as the costume baddie Microwave Man, has a pretty interesting story despite only appearing in 2 issues back in 1978. Paget spent 40 years traveling around the galaxy aboard an alien spacecraft before returning back to Earth in October of 1978. Now, not much is known about his life before his interstellar journey other than the fact that he was already known as the villain Microwave Man. Upon his return, Paget calls upon his alien friends one last time to grant him back his youth, even though doing this would shorten his remaining life to only a few more hours. This didn't seem to bother him, and once he was young again, Paget assumed the identity of Microwave Man once more and challenged Superman. Now, Paget's alien friends inform Superman that he only wants the glory of defeating him and will die very soon, so Superman, like the upstanding good guy that he is, allows Paget to defeat him in a test of strength, after which he dies satisfied, and the aliens come to claim his body to set adrift in space as he had once requested. Making his first appearance in 1978's Action Comics number 487, why not check his short run out for yourself. Number 8, The Puzzler. So little is known about either version of the Puzzler, so don't feel bad if you're not familiar with this character or just generally don't know who they are. The first to take up this name was Valerie Van Haften, a longtime admirer of Superman and someone who wanted nothing more than to get his attention, so she had the idea of becoming a heroine with the intent of one day joining his team. This proved to be a lot harder than she thought, and she quickly turned to crime instead and eventually joined the likes of the Secret Six to get a Get Out of Hell free card. Her powers are actually pretty cool, as she's made up of a bunch of indestructible puzzle pieces that she has full control over, allowing her to deconstruct at will and even fling the pieces at her opponents like a bullet. Now, the second puzzler is from the Prime Earth and is actually known as Puzzler Bot, a creation of that universe's puzzler that mimics the abilities of its creator through technological assimilation. That's about it when it comes to these characters, so if you know any more, please let me know in the comments below, but in the meantime, check them out for yourself in 2002's Superman Volume 2, number 187, and 2013's Justice League of America Volume 3, number 3. Number 7, Bloodsport. Now, unfortunately, a cool name doesn't always make for a cool villain. We've seen a few of Lex Luthor's henchmen take up the name Bloodsport, but let's focus on the first, Robert Dubois. Dubois suffered a mental breakdown after his brother had taken his place in the Vietnam War and became a quadruple amputee, resulting in Dubois spending 12 years bouncing between various psychiatric hospitals. Somehow, an agent of Lex Luthor persuades Dubois that Superman is to blame for all his troubles, causing him to adopt the name Bloodsport and go on a needless rampage in downtown Metropolis. Equipped with basic hand-to-hand combat skills and some unnamed tech from Luthor that allowed him to summon any weapon he desired from a remote location, Dubois caused some serious damage before being subdued after his brother confronted him. He spent several years in Stryker Island's penitentiary before Alex Trent, the person who took up the name Bloodsport after him, was brought to his attention. Believing it was the healthiest way for the two to work out their problems, the warden set up a boxing match between the two with Superman as the referee. However, things got out of hand pretty quickly and a riot broke out that allowed Dubois to escape. His freedom didn't last very long though, as he was quickly shot down by a prison guard. Check out his story for yourself, starting with 1987 Superman Volume 2, number 4. Number 6, Bruno Mannheim. Bruno Ugly Mannheim had the honor, or I don't know, maybe dishonor depending on how you look at it, of being introduced not in a Superman comic, but in the spin-off series Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen. Mannheim starts off as a pretty run-of-the-mill stereotypical gangster, trying to just stake a claim for himself in Metropolis, but eventually morphs into something very different and ultimately confusing. With no real powers unless you consider greed and brutality to be special, Mannheim was beefed up by DC when he was made leader of the Intergang, a worldwide crime syndicate that answers to no one other than Darkseid. Basically, Mannheim is this interesting amalgamation of some of the best villains out there, as he is known to go full-blown Hannibal Lecter sometimes, eating his enemies / subordinates that disobey him, and he also flip-flops between being a super genius like Lex Luthor to an overwhelming powerhouse like Darkseid. Yeah, I know, it's all a little bit confusing, so why not check him out for yourself so you can make some more sense of his character, starting with his first appearance in 1971's Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, number 139. Number 5, the Prankster. Once the extremely popular host of the Uncle Oswald show, Oswald Loomis became the prankster after his show was cancelled and ultimately ended his career in comedy. His first assault on Metropolis was an all-out barrage of practical jokes that ended in his surrender. After a while, Loomis resurfaced with a much younger and athletic body thanks to selling his soul to Lord Satanus, and this changed everything. With a more serious personality and affinity for dangerous tricks, Loomis basically became a slightly less twisted version of the Joker, and his only goal was to make the world laugh via his own twisted ways. When Metropolis was taken over by Brainiac 13, he took advantage of all the futuristic tech available and upgraded his existing gadgets, which proved to be pretty effective against even the likes of Superman. However, this was probably because the Man of Steel was suffering from kryptonite poisoning at the time and did not have full access to his powers. Skip ahead a little bit to when the Joker took over the world and we meet a slightly altered Halloween mask wearing prankster who acts as Joker City's exorcist, whose goal is to expel the evil from those who still believe in science. Thankfully for everyone out there, he was eventually apprehended by Superman and taken to Belle Reve to serve his time for all his crimes. Having made his first appearance all the way back in 1988's Superman Volume 2 number 16, give his story a read for yourself and let me know what you think in the comments below. Number 4, Lois Lane Robot. On New Earth and during his quest for the power he lost in Blackest Night, Lex Luthor decided it was a good idea to take a Brainiac probe stored in LexCorp and a sample of Lois Lane's DNA to create a robotic version of her that would serve as his quote-unquote conscience. Unfortunately for him, before he was able to complete the programming, he was held hostage by some bandits under the control of Mr. Mind, and he himself was put into a mental illusion. The Lois Lane robot was functional enough though to activate all of its weapon systems, allowing it to take out all of the thugs and bring Luthor back into reality. Armed to the brim with state-of-the-art technology and weapons, her robotic android body allows her to repair any damage received, and also gives her the ability to fly alongside super strength, durability, and speed. Now, not long after their run-in with Mr. Mind, Luthor, Deathstroke, and Lanebot head to Antarctica to find a black orb that is somehow related to the Black Power Ring energy. The effects of this orb were enough to cause Deathstroke and his men to completely lose control and attack one another. However, Lanebot was not affected as she is inorganic. That was the last time we saw the Lois Lane robot, so until they grace the comic book pages once again, check them out in their first appearance in 2010's Action Comics number 890. Number 3, Terra Man. Tobias Manning, aka Terra Man, was once a businessman who one day realized just how much damage he was causing to the Earth and its environment. With his newfound conscience, Manning took up a personal vendetta against any company that was causing damage to the environment. Using weapons that focused on turning the environment around his enemies against them, he has caused some serious damage in the name of the Earth, and that earned him a spot on the Secret Society of Villains during the events of Infinite Crisis. Even after this catastrophic event, Terra Man continued his nefarious ways by hijacking a plane over the Middle East. Thanks to Black Adam, he escaped both harm and capture for this crime. However, in hindsight, teaming up with Black Adam probably wasn't the best idea for him, because when Black Adam later appeared to address the media in front of Kahndaq's New York embassy, he ripped Terra Man in half with no warning, and that was the end of this nature-loving villain until he was resurrected during the events of the Blackest Night. Why not give his story a read for yourself, starting with his first appearance all the way back in 1990's Superman Volume 2, number 46. Number 2, Hellspawn. Although he was originally created as the nemesis of the Wildcats in the Wildstorm universe, Hellspawn made his way onto the villain roster for Superman when that universe was brought into the DC universe in the New 52 relaunch. As a Damonite, Hellspawn possesses a ridiculous amount of powers thanks to his alien physiology, such as, but definitely not limited to, chronokinesis, accelerated healing, and telepathy, and when combined with his Akurian host body, he is shown to possess super strength and speed that are able to outmatch even the Man of Steel himself. Hellspawn made his first documented move against humanity by trying to start a nuclear war between the most powerful nations on Earth in order to allow humanity to destroy itself so the planet would be empty for the Damonites. However, this plan didn't really pan out as he was stopped by Team 1 and Mr. Majestic. In the rebooted Wildstorm universe, Hellspawn is now a super evolved living hive mind because apparently when the number of Damonites reaches a certain number, a central mind is created. Hellspawn now has the knowledge and intelligence of every member of the entire Damonite race, and its synthetic body is a rad looking mix of flesh, metal, and fire. Thanks to this, he has moved into a league of his own when it comes to power. However, we are still waiting to see it all in action. Now, I did have to skip over a lot of cool stuff regarding this character, so check out his story for yourself, starting with his first appearance in 1992's Wildcats #1. And coming in at #1, we have Conduit. Kenny Braverman was, funnily enough, born on the same day that Superman's ship arrived on Earth. His fate was not exactly as lucky as our Man of Steel's. While his parents were on the way to the hospital, they ended up having to pull over to the side of the road due to the heavy storm, and he was born curbside, incredibly close to Clark's ship, and the exposure to the kryptonite caused some side effects that would manifest later in life. All throughout their younger years, Clark and Kenny were rivals, competing in everything from sports to girls, and this probably caused some serious self-esteem issues for Kenny because Clark always seemed to come out on top. After high school, Kenny went on to join the CIA and grew more and more reckless as his dormant abilities started to change his personality. Turns out Kenny's body is basically a living conduit for all energy, and it can process, manipulate, and even generate forms of energy in many destructive ways. Upon realizing this, Kenny took up the mantle of Conduit and decided it was finally time to get his revenge on Clark. However, all of his attempts seemed to fail. Later confronted by Superman, Kenny deduced that Clark and the Man of Steel were one and the same, which was perfect for him because they were literally the only people he wanted to kill. So he set all his sights on getting rid of Superman. Kenny manages to catch Superman and traps him in a mock version of Smallville, and the two face off one-on-one in a replica of their childhood football stadium. Unfortunately for Kenny, he succumbed to his madness and supercharged himself with kryptonite energy, effectively overloading his powers and killing him in the process. Why not give Conduit's story a read for yourself, starting with his first appearance all the way back in 1994's Superman, the Man of Steel #0, and let me know what you think in the comments below. That'll be it for this video, everyone. Do you have any other lesser known Superman villains in mind that you'd like to hear us talk about? Well, let us know in the comments below and maybe we'll continue this list with a part 2. Don't forget to subscribe to Top 10 Nerd to stay up to date on all things nerdy, and why not ring the notification bell so you know whenever we upload a video. As always, my name is Jack, thank you so much for watching, and make sure to stay nerdy, my friends.
What's going on, Top 10 Nerd family, and welcome back to the nerdiest YouTube page you've seen in your entire life. There are many changes that happen to many comic book characters, but today we're looking specifically at Batman villains, as you probably already know. These changes can happen in comics, on film, or in this case, even video games. Whatever the case may be, it's always a little surprising when your favorite villain changes sides or starts to look or act a little differently. For some, these major or minor changes in the character are loved. Other times, fans are upset with the whole mentality of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know? I'm Taylor McWatters, and in no particular order, here are the top 10 biggest Batman villain changes. Let's get to it. Also, spoilers ahead as well. Tread carefully, fellow nerds. Number 10, the Joker. In the Last Night on Earth series, we find Bruce Wayne at Arkham Asylum. Yeah, it's super sad and dark. He wakes up to discover that he has never, in fact, been Batman. Like when he goes to hug Alfred, the panel quickly cuts, and then Batman is like out in this random wasteland almost. And he has like this sort of asylum suit on with wavy pieces of white clothing that kind of blows behind him. It looks like Edward Scissorhands or like a mummy. It's kind of cool. But he wakes up in this desert, and in the midst of all this confusion, he sees a lantern. Not like a lantern, like an actual lantern, you know? And what's in the lantern, you might be thinking? Just the Joker's head. That's right. So Batman and Noggin, as he refers to it. Yeah, so this Joker has quips. It kind of feels like Shrek a little bit. Now hear me out. We have Batman just trying to figure this whole ordeal out, and he's just trying to figure out pieces along the way, and then we have this crazy sidekick who just loves to talk. The writers really amped it up in issue number 3 of The Last Night on Earth. So during the duo's travels, Joker mentions, in a jokingly manner of course, that he wanted to be Batman's next Robin. Could you imagine that? Well, yeah, you can because it happens. And it's awesome too. So basically you take this lantern Joker's head and mix it in with Tim Drake's mech Robin suit that he no longer needs, and bam, you have the new Robin. He's an actual sidekick in this too, like he almost dies trying to save Bruce from Omega. The Last Night on Earth. Go check it out right now. Well, after the video, but yeah. Number 9, Mr. Freeze. Making his debut back in Batman Volume 2, Issue 1, Mr. Freeze is an iconic Batman villain, and partially because I think the best actor in the world played him in Batman and Robin. That's right, I'm talking about our boy Arnold. Mr. Freeze's biology was altered after being bathed in chemicals, so his body heat is only that of 23 degrees Fahrenheit. So anything he touches will also freeze. Now of course this also slows his aging down drastically. He wears a Cairo suit to help keep his body temperature below freezing. That is until a recent Detective Comics issue 1012. Nanotech saves the day. That's right, for years Mr. Freeze has been working with nanotech over and over again until finally he can now survive without the use of his helmet. I mean, as cool as the helmet did look, I think the main Avatar Blue Man Group kind of look suits him, you know? What do you guys think? Helmet? On? Off? I think off. Number 8, Scarecrow. Okay, this next one's for the nerds who also like to game out. Jonathan Crane, aka Scarecrow, is one of my favorite villains, hands down. After making his first appearance in World's Finest Comics issue 3, and also portrayed by Cillian Murphy in the Nolan trilogy, Scarecrow is known to use fear as a main weapon, which is pretty sick. So we see this in Batman Begins, but we really see the full effects of where he can go mentally, specifically in the game Arkham Asylum. I mean, he's insanely scary and quite the big deal. He almost acted like Freddy Krueger in some ways. Like one minute you'll be walking around in the middle of a mission, maybe you're scanning something, and then all of a sudden the camera starts to change a bit, and then the game changes, and all of a sudden you're in this crazy nightmare. And it's so smooth the way it happens that you get kind of concerned, someone who's actually playing it. I also love seeing this type of Scarecrow in a video game because it made me feel like I was part of it. Like literally I was part of the action. You feel like a detective in the entire game series, it's done so well, but then you also feel pretty scared when you're not sure of what you're seeing is supposed to happen in the game. Some parts I swear my game was glitching. Amazing series if you haven't played it yet. Number 7, Poison Ivy. Taking place in Batman Joker War, we find a ravaged Gotham City. The Joker has sent out all his goons to run around and basically mess the place up. Most of Batman's villains are just laying low at this point, just kind of waiting to see what happens, you know, just watching from afar. Now at this point, we haven't really seen much of Poison Ivy in the storyline. After a brawl with Punchline and Harley, most of Poison Ivy's hidden underground cave called Eden burned down. So Poison Ivy returns to look for Harley and she sees the damage. Oh, there were a few of Joker's goons inside, but they obviously didn't last long, as you would have expected. She explains to the last guy before she kills him that she's done with distractions, and instead of rebuilding this cave, which she easily could have done, she summons up this new plant called Devil's Ivy. Cool name too. Speaking of cool names, she reveals her new persona, Queen Ivy. That's right, shortly after she builds a throne, a fancy new outfit, and to top it all off, a crown. I dig it. Number 6, Killer Croc. AKA Waylon Jones, he made his first debut in Batman number 357. We saw him in Suicide Squad and he looked pretty bad. It's kind of like a dinosaur, or like the lizard from Amazing Spider-Man, whatever. We don't talk about that movie in here. We're talking about DC, we're not talking about them. So the introduction of his character in Suicide Squad actually got me pretty pumped. And then the rest of the movie happened, so. Short-lived, to say the least. His OG look wasn't nearly as menacing though. I mean, see, from his debut back in 1983, he looked like a guy. A strange-looking guy, but still more human than his current look nonetheless. Now at this point, he was just a criminal with a scaly skin disease, where now he looks like a monster, donning the full-on Croc monster look. And if you want to see these big changes for yourself, make sure you check out Batman Hush Killer Croc, where he looks arguably the most bad. There's one panel where he's just towering over Catwoman and he's like, I want my money! And she's like, alright man, chill out. I would my leather pants. Very fast. Number 5, Joker. This one is super recent. I did say spoilers at the beginning of this video. You were warned. Warned, I tell ya. So in Batman Joker War, the Joker appears to be wearing a batsuit. Yeah, and it's pretty bad looking too. I mean, come on. He's got the smile across his chest, they got the ha-ha-has written on the side, and to top it all off, he's even sporting the purple cape. It's amazing. So Batman had no idea that this is what he would find. I mean, first a dead Alfred greeting him, and then now a Joker in a batsuit. Get me out of this nightmare, what is going on? So how did this even come about? While Punchline and Joker's goons turned Gotham into a flaming death zone, like I mentioned earlier, the Joker was busy going after Wayne's fortunes. And I loved seeing this version of the Joker as well, like going after Wayne's money right off the bat, pun intended, even confirming his own actions by saying, you know what, I'm going against my own brand on this one. It's just fun. And we also saw similar looking suits back before Suicide Squad even came out, and like promo material and stuff. And it got us pretty hyped up. Me and my friends were talking about it. Yet it never happened. A lot of those things just didn't happen in that movie, eh? Number 4, Clayface. Basil Karlo, aka Clayface. made his first debut back in 1940 in Detective Comics numero 40. He was an actor that had gone a touch crazy when a remake of his classic movie was released with a new actor. Kind of like what we get to see every other month. So he decided to adopt this persona of an old movie villain, Clayface. And this guy's pretty neat. He can mimic anybody just by getting a smidgen of DNA. He can change the shape, the size of his body. Solid actor, eh? So method. Cut to Detective Comics Volume 1, Issue 934. Clayface had escaped Arkham Asylum. Why, you ask? To go to the movies. Yep, he went to go see himself on the big screen. To see himself. I don't watch myself really. I watch a few of these, but too scared. So as the crowd of moviegoers obviously runs out in a frenzy, Clayface is left sitting there wide-eyed, just wondering what could have been, watching his own performance. So Batman and Batgirl enter the theater, shocked that this is the reason he escaped. All he wants in this moment is just to watch the 84-minute movie and feel good again, to remind him who he was once. Batman responds with, well, what if I could give you more than that? What's the catch, he answers? Well, the catch is, says Batgirl, you're gonna have to do everything we say. And poof, we have Clayface on the home team. Let's go. Number 3, Harley Quinn. Making her first debut back in Batman Harley Quinn in 1999 and portrayed by the insanely talented Margot Robbie, literally one of the best actors on the face of the earth, Harley Quinn has always been known for flipping back and forth, changing sides. She's kinda weaving in and out a little bit, you know? Even her character evolution in the new DC movies alone, like looking at Harley in Birds of Prey compared to how we met her in Suicide Squad. In the comics, her relationship with the Joker is abusive and it's controlling, and Harley has histrionic personality disorder, so she has a lot of things in common with the Joker. So when it comes to seeking attention with all these crime lords, she's super entertaining when she tries to get Mr. J's attention. She uses her psychiatrist skills to get in close, you know, get in your head a little bit. She's super lovable as well. I mean, obviously, look who's playing her. I'm glad DC is moving Harley to be her own character in this new live action franchise. It's a nice message too. It's like, you know what, no matter how deep in love you are with a psycho, you can always break out of it, start a gang, and kick some bad guys' ass. There's always time, guys. Number 2, Catwoman. Making her first debut in Batman number 1, Selina Kyle looked a bit different from the start, to say the least. We've seen numerous actors play the iconic jewel thief, from Michelle Pfeiffer, or as I said growing up, Michelle Pfeiffer, to Zoe Kravitz, set to play her in the upcoming Batman flick with Pattinson. So we know the look by now. All black, slick, couple of clips, some eyebrow raises. She kicks. This look was never the case, however. In the first issue she appeared in, she was actually referred to as the Cat, simply put. And at this time, her outfit looked just a bit more lame, if I can say. She kind of looked like Doctor Strange in a weird way. The all yellow dress, the red cape, but the best part, she had a realistic fur mask. It wasn't until 1946 until her mask was changed to a more fitting look. Still not quite what we're used to, but it's a step in the right direction, that's for sure. Then in the 50s, she was deemed more of a sidekick to Batman rather than a villain. And finally, number 1, the Joker, Death of the Family. This next one is wild. And yes, the Joker was on this list more than once. Well, because I wrote it, okay? That's it. We go back to 2012, Batman Volume 2, Issue 13. Now, the Joker at this point had not been in Gotham City for about a year now. He originally got captured and sent to Arkham Asylum, but that was all part of his plan. So while he was in there, he made a meeting with Dollmaker, where they cut off Joker's face, and then the Joker escaped without a face. So a year later, the Joker returned to Gotham, still without a face, kills some cops, all Joker-like, still without a face, and then he steals his own face out of the evidence room, just slaps it on. He kind of has to tie it. It's really gross. Imagine looking around and then you just see your own face. That's it. So he masks up, or faces up, whatever you want to call it, and then he captures Alfred. Wild. The look of this mask though, oh, it's so loose and gross, looks like baloney. You gotta love it. Well, there we have it, nerds. Those are our top 10 Batman villain changes. Now, I know we obviously missed a lot of key character changes and character arcs, so comment down below which ones you'd love to hear us break down, and there might be a cheeky part 2, a little sneaky part 2, who knows. And as always, if you haven't done so, subscribe and then head on east and hit that notification bell. That way you're up to date on new vids, and we'll even give you a heads up when we drop a live premiere. Those are always fun. We love watching with you guys, and we can respond live with you. So if you say mean stuff, I can tell you exactly how many tears come out of my face. So come on by. I'm Taylor McWatters. We'll see you next time. See ya. Tuck this necklace in so I don't stab someone with it. There we go. It's on. There are many changes that happen. I don't know why I whispered the last line. Well, I'm Taylor McWatters, and in no particular order, here are the top 10 biggest Batman villain changes. Try it again, that sounded very tap. So Batman and Noggin, Scott Snyder and Scott Capullos. I don't think it's Scott Capullos. It made me feel like I was a part of it. I guess we'll cut that first little chunk. I just repeated myself. Terrible movie. Oh my god. So pissed. Basil. It's Basil, right? I keep saying Basil as a joke, and now I'm saying Basil in my head. Basil, like in Austin Powers. Basil. It's not Basil. Cut to Detective Comics Volume 1, Issue 330. That's not even close to the numbers. That's so weird. Basil? See, I said Basil. And poof. Poof. It's Santa! Fucking. Oh my god.
Bruce Wayne, the billionaire philanthropist and owner of Wayne Enterprises who took up a vendetta against crime and the mantle of the Caped Crusader known as Batman following the murder of his parents and years of training. Now many would consider Batman to be one of the edgiest and darkest heroes out there, but did you know there are other versions of this character out there who are more dangerous and dark than our beloved Bruce Wayne of Prime Earth? What is going on, all you nerdy folk out there? My name is Jack, and you probably guessed it, but we are going to be taking a look at some of the darker, grittier versions of Batman out there. I didn't know it was possible for Bats to get any edgier, but hey, turns out I was wrong, so let's get right into it. Number 10, Darkclaw. One of the coolest looking hero matchups to come out of the Amalgam universe in my opinion. The hero known as Darkclaw is a combination of Batman and Wolverine named Logan Wayne. Like our familiar Batman, Wayne witnessed his parents' murder at a young age and then was sent off to live with his uncle in Alberta. However, that did not last very long because his uncle was murdered as well and Wayne was sent to live in a home run by nuns. Once old enough, he enlisted in the Royal Canadian Air Force alongside a man named Creed H. Quinn, and the two of them were submitted to the Weapon X program, aka the Canadian Super Soldier program. It was there that the Wolverine half of this character came to be, as it was here he learned of his metamutant powers and had his bones fused with adamantium. Quinn, however, was not so lucky because through the course of the experiments he grew more and more insane and would eventually become the Hyena, a combination of Sabretooth and the Joker and Darkclaw's greatest enemy. Equipped with the powers of Wolverine and the vast knowledge of Batman, Darkclaw is a truly awesome character, so check him out for yourself in his first appearance in 1996's Marvel vs. DC number 3. Number 9, Thomas Wayne. Turns out crime fighting is a genetic thing when it comes to the Wayne family. In the Flashpoint timeline, Bruce is actually the one who's murdered by the robber Joe Chill instead of his parents Thomas and Martha. Now as a result, for reasons similar to his son, Thomas Wayne took up a personal vendetta against crime that led him to taking up the mantle of Batman. But unlike his son, he is much more ruthless in his actions, as he is happy to kill any criminal that gets in his way. Equipped with the same genius intellect and hand-to-hand combat skills you would expect from any Batman, this version of the Caped Crusader has also been seen with multiple firearms, and also an Amazonian sword. Thomas secretly funds his war on crime through his business, Wayne Casinos, and thanks to this he's able to fight some of the most notorious villains Gotham's ever seen. One being his own wife, Martha Wayne, the Joker of this timeline. So if you're not familiar with the Flashpoint timeline, I highly recommend you take a look at some of the storylines it follows. So check out this grittier version of Batman for yourself in his first appearance in Flashpoint Volume 2, number 1, so you can fully understand why he considers himself to be a man with too much blood on his hands to be considered good. Number 8, Grim Knight. This version of Batman is from the Dark Multiverse and serves under the Batman Who Laughs as basically a gun for hire, acting as his second in command. In his timeline, Bruce's origin story is pretty much the same as his Prime Earth counterpart, however, he kills Joe Chill right after the murder of his parents when Chill drops his gun and gives him the opening. For the next several years, Bruce traveled the world honing his skills as an assassin and eventually returns to Gotham City to strike fear into the criminals' hearts as this universe's Batman. He has done some truly terrible things, such as making Jim Gordon watch as he made 2 highly explosive blimps crash into both Arkham Asylum and Blackgate Penitentiary, or when he tortured Mayor Harvey Dent with radiation until he was allowed to put up surveillance cameras all over Gotham. Sure, all that made Gotham a much safer place, but there was definitely a better method to it. With a full arsenal of weapons hid around the city of Gotham and on his person, the Grim Knight is truly merciless and not someone you want to mess with. First appearing in 2019's The Batman Who Laughs Volume 2, number 1, Grim Knight truly shows how dark a Batman who kills can be. Number 7, Damian Wayne. Now let's jump to a possible future here for a second and take a look at a version of Damian Wayne who took up the mantle of Batman in Bethlehem. In this possible future, Bruce Wayne retired as Batman and Dick Grayson took up the mantle. However, he was killed by some explosive Jokerfish and Damian stepped up to the plate as Batman. Unlike his father and Dick Grayson, Damian's Batman in this future is more willing to injure and kill opponents if he judges it necessary to do so, and this is pretty easy for him to do because he has always been pretty violent and definitely has the know-how to take down anyone and anything. Now, it's heavily implied that in this possible future, Damian made a literal deal with the devil, exchanging his soul for immortality and the healing abilities he felt he needed to protect Gotham. And he felt this had to be done because he couldn't measure up to his predecessors, being his father and Dick Grayson. Using the city of Gotham as a weapon itself by setting traps throughout it, we've seen this Batman go up against the likes of Two-Face in order to save a young Terry McGinnis, who he eventually takes under his Batwing, training him to become the next Batman. Why not check out this possible future for yourself in 2007's Batman number 666. Number 6. Batman 1 Million. In the far-off 853rd century, criminals and crime fighters are still very prevalent, and the most dangerous criminals are actually imprisoned on the planet Pluto and overseen by this new Batman. Their secret identity is not known, but we do know that he was one of the children that Zara forced to watch their parents murder, and from that day on, he swore to never let such a tragedy happen again. They chose the symbol of the bat because he thought it stood for something more than just fear, stating it stood for justice and as an ideal. He studied for years on end, honing his fighting skills and knowledge in as many physical and mental techniques as possible, and all of that eventually paid off because he was eventually offered a position on the new incarnation of the Justice League alongside Superman and Flash 1 Million. After years of working together, they all went back in time to invite the Justice League of the 20th century to see the rebirth of the first Superman, Superman Prime. Much to their surprise, their companion Starman betrayed them and unleashed a plague onto Earth, and with the real Justice League being unable to stop them, Justice Legion Alpha stepped in to help them. Batman 1 Million worked with the 20th century Batman to find a way to stop Starman's plan, along with Dick Grayson and Tim Drake, using the technology of the Batcave, and together, they were able to stop his plan, ending with Starman returning to the light once more to stop what he had done. Give this storyline a read for yourself, starting with 1998's JLA number 23. Number 5. Owlman. Thomas Wayne Jr. from the Antimatter universe is the son of Thomas and Martha and older brother to Bruce. After his family's murder, he decided to take up the mantle of Owlman. However, unlike Batman, Thomas wanted to conquer the villains he went up with rather than just fight them. Thanks to his father's wealth that he was left as inheritance, Thomas underwent years of training and general enhancement so he could enact his plans of conquering Gotham's crime world. Alongside the other members of the Crime Syndicate, a group who is basically the evil version of the Justice League, they managed to establish and maintain control over a large portion of their Earth, even though they were up against other powerful organizations such as the Young Offenders and the Crime Lodge. Eventually, the Crime Syndicate began kidnapping people from the 52 multiverse matter-based worlds, and were visited by our Justice League to retrieve the people from the Justice League Earth. Thomas, along with Superwoman and Ultraman, were banished to a prison subdimension while Johnny Quick and the current Power Ring were captured. Highly recommend you check out the storyline for yourself, so check out Owlman in his first appearance in 2000's JLA Earth 2. Number 4. Azrael. John Paul Valley, the genetically augmented assassin / vigilante for the group known as the Order of St. Dumas. Now, I said genetically augmented because Valley was a test tube baby and his genetic structure was altered by scientists with an animal DNA which allows him to do the insane feats a normal human could only dream of. Originally an ally and even apprentice of Batman, Azrael was the one to adopt the Batman moniker following the Dark Knight's crippling defeat at the hands of Bane. However, he went insane for a short while during his run as the Caped Crusader and decided to augment the Batsuit so it was capable of causing some serious damage. It was very apparent early on that Azrael's Batman was of a very different breed because he was much more ruthless, okay with killing, and pretty much just wanted to punish the criminals rather than save any lives. Although he was doing a great job of cleaning Gotham City of its criminals, Bruce felt his methods were much too violent and irresponsible and personally removed him from the mantle after his full recovery, causing Valley to return to his identity as Azrael. Valley was presumably killed in a battle against his two greatest foes, Beast and Scratch, as he was shot through his armor by a multitude of Teflon bullets, and only his costume was recovered. 5 years later, another Azrael was created by the Order in ex-police officer Michael Lane. Check out John Paul Valley as both Azrael and Batman, starting with 1992's Batman Sword of Azrael, number 1. Number 3. Murder Machine. With an identical upbringing as the Batman we all know and love, Earth-44's Bruce Wayne ended up with one more tragic death in his life, the murder of his butler, Alfred. Blaming himself for Alfred's death, Bruce enlisted the help of Cyborg to create the Alfred Protocol, a powerful AI and hologram with the intent of keeping Bruce safe at all times. Within one day, the Alfred Protocol had executed all of the criminals in Arkham Asylum as he deemed them a threat to Bruce. Eventually, Bruce started to doubt his ability to keep himself safe and relied very heavily on the AI Albert, having him remove his ability to feel fear and sadness, and replace his body with a mechanical one that would never ever fail him. This was the birth of the Murder Machine and thus began the Earth's demise. Like the other members of the Dark Knights, Murder Machine represents one of Batman's many fears and aspects of his life. This one in particular represents his fear of not being as self-sufficient as he thinks, his father-son relationship with Alfred, and the regret of cutting off other people. Check them out in their first appearance in 2017's Dark Days, the casting, number 1. Number 2, the Batman Who Laughs. Obviously, this twisted Batman had to make an appearance on this list today. However, he is not at number 1 because there are definitely some darker Batman out there. Hailing from the dark multiverse, we have Earth -22's Bruce Wayne, also known as the Batman Who Laughs. After an all-out assault from Joker against Gotham, Bruce completely loses it and snaps the Joker's neck, which causes a mysterious gas to leak from the Joker's mouth into Bruce's body. This led to the mad descent of Bruce's sanity and his transformation into the Joker-Batman hybrid known as the Batman Who Laughs. With the abilities of the Joker and Batman combined, alongside the Jokerized Robins known as Groblins or Dark Robins, the Batman Who Laughs assembled the darkest and most twisted versions of Batman across the Dark Multiverse and created the Dark Knights in order to wreak havoc on the world. In the event of Dark Knight Death Metal, he is seemingly killed by Wonder Woman's new Chainsaw of Truth, but I highly doubt this is the last we will ever see of him. So check him out for yourself in his first appearance in Dark Days, the casting number 1. And finally at number 1 we have Batman Earth 43. Now, not a whole lot is known about this Batman's life prior to his introduction, but it can be assumed that it was similar to the Batman origin we're all familiar with. You know, parents' death leads to training, leads to becoming Batman and fighting the likes of the Joker, the Riddler, etc. After discovering that the most famous vampire Dracula is still alive and operating in Gotham City, Bruce realizes that his recent dreams were the result of him being visited by Tanya, another vampire who was once under Dracula's control. Tanya had actually been biting Bruce but hadn't been taking any of his blood. She was instead infusing him with vampiric powers without destroying his humanity. Thanks to these new powers, Batman now possessed some incredibly enhanced senses, super strength, and more alongside his immense knowledge of hand-to-hand combat. With enough power to now kill Dracula, Batman confronts and kills him by impaling the vampire on a tree. However, this win came at a serious cost because Dracula was able to completely drain Batman of all his blood, effectively completing his transformation into a vampire. Fast forward a little bit and we see our vampiric Batman put into a coma thanks to a stake to the heart after his bloodlust and rage causes him to drain the Joker of all his blood. Alfred eventually awoke his master later on because Gotham City was overrun with criminals. However, this was a pretty bad idea because all he did was hunt down his enemies, both new and old, so he could just drain them of all their blood and kill them. He is eventually killed after he walks into the sunlight, hoping he can finally pay for what he did and have some peace, but he is revived once more later on in the search for Ray Palmer, Red Rain. Making his first appearance in 1992's Batman and Dracula Red Rain, check out the storyline for yourself and let me know what you think of it in the comments below. I personally love it. Well, that'll be it for this video, everyone. Do you have any other dark versions of Batman that you'd like to hear us talk about? Let us know in the comments below and maybe we'll continue this list with a part 2. Don't forget to subscribe to Top 10 Nerd to stay up to date on all things nerdy, and why not ring that notification bell so you know whenever we upload a video. As always, my name is Jack, thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure to stay nerdy, my friends.
You didn't think we were going to stop at just one, did you? Welcome back, Nerd Squad. Of course, we need to talk about more amazing Bat Family members because there are just too many powerful ones that did not make the cut on our part 1, but still very much deserved it. We all have our favorites, and I did my best to save some of the best Bat Family members for the top spots on this part 2 list as we count down the top 10 most powerful Bat Family members once more. And if you missed out on our part 1 to this list, you can check that out by clicking on over here. Be sure to stick around till the end of this list as well, where I will have an honorary mention coming your way. Seriously though, there are too many skilled Bat Family members. It's a problem. And I know that I still probably missed a few on this list. If your favorite still has yet to get a mention by the end of the list, shout out your love for them in the comments below and try not to take it too personally. The Batman verse is one of my favorites, and honestly, I love so many of these characters. Speaking of Batman characters, let's get counting. Number 10. Ace the Bat Hound. Ace the Bat Hound was a German Shepherd that Robin and Batman teamed up with in Batman issue 92. The dog had been attempting to locate his owner when Batman and Robin found and rescued him. Bruce put an ad in the paper attempting to help the dog find its true owner. Shortly after, the dog ended up getting loose from the Batcave. Robin quickly made a disguise for the dog as Batman was concerned due to the ad that they'd placed in the paper and the distinct appearance of Ace that people might see them with him and connect the dots between Bruce Wayne and Batman. Eventually Ace was reunited with his owner again, but he would later return to team up with the dynamic duo once more in the future. More than once actually, I think. Number 9. Batmite. Batmite is a magical imp, similar to Superman's Mr. Mxyzptlk. He advocates that he is Batman's #1 fan, and as such pretty much exclusively wears his own little Batman costume. Unfortunately, he's usually not very powerful in a helpful sort of way. Batman came from a dimension where he and other imps idolized the heroes of Batman's dimension. As such, he usually would try to orchestrate events so that he could see Batman in action, usually creating problems for Batman to then solve and inevitably kind of annoying him. However, Batmite never intended to annoy his hero and would generally stop when he realized he was being a nuisance. Similar to Mr. Mixie, Batmite demonstrates magical powers which allow him to alter reality somewhat. He also shoots lightning bolts out of his fingers, and he can turn invisible. Number 8. Bluebird. Harper Row is a super skilled electrician who started fixing things from a young age after her and her brother were left alone, often abandoned by their father on a regular basis whom they lived with. Harper would run into Batman after he saved her and her brother Cullen from a large group of bullies. This inspired her to try and track Batman down, and she began looking for him online. She ended up assisting Batman and later saving his life with her own makeshift defibrillator, and after that she joined the Bat family, taking up the mantle of Bluebird. She would later leave her role as a vigilante to go back to school and study to become an engineer. But before that, she would demonstrate how skilled she was by constructing her own weapons and armor, which had its own anti-nanobot field. Number 7. Huntress. Whether we're talking about Helena Bertinelli or Helena Wayne, Catwoman and Batman's daughter, either way, Huntress tends to be considered a sometimes ally to Batman, and a powerful one at that. Helena Wayne has since been relegated to existing on Earth 2, and was raised by her parents there to become a hero. She decided to strike out on her own after the death of her mother, Selina Kyle. Being trained by both Batman and Catwoman makes her an insanely skilled combatant. Helena, like Helena Bertinelli of Prime Earth, is also known for her trademark crossbow, which is usually her preferred weapon of choice. Number 6. Spoiler. For the purpose of this list, we are going to talk about rebooted Stephanie Brown as opposed to the OG Stephanie Brown. The Stephanie Brown of Prime Earth is the daughter of villain Cluemaster, although growing up young, Stephanie was unaware of her father's villainous schemes. However, when she did find out, this revelation inspired her to become the hero known as Spoiler. Her goal was to spoil her father's evil plots, leaving clues so that the authorities could track him down. Red Robin ended up using his detective skills to track her down, and the two ended up teaming up. Over time, they both realized they had feelings for one another and began a relationship. Batman eventually revealed Tim's true identity to Stephanie and decided to start training her, which kind of caused a rift to develop between her and Tim Drake. Eventually, however, they would move past this. Stephanie would also receive training for her time from the Birds of Prey and her good friend Cassandra Cain, aka Orphan. Number 5. Carrie Kelly. Carrie Kelly is Batman's Robin from Earth 31. Unlike most Robins, Carrie did have parents, but they were very neglectful of her. She was saved by an elderly Batman one night who had returned from retirement. Inspired by the rescue, she bought herself a Robin costume and set out to track Batman down, armed with a slingshot and some firecrackers. Batman would take her on as Robin, but would also constantly threaten to fire her from her mantle for disobeying him. But Carrie showed so much promise, he could never bring himself to truly ever follow through. Carrie Kelly would help Batman defeat Joker when he resurfaced, and in the future would go on to become Catgirl, becoming a hero in her own right in Dark Knight Strikes Again. Number 4. Batwing. Batwing, like his father Lucius Fox, has a gifted intellect. He graduated MIT with degrees in engineering and business management, following in his father's footsteps, and like his father, became a coveted businessman for hire. Everyone everywhere wanted him to work for them, including his dad. Lucas Fox, however, was not interested in any of this. Instead, Luke turned to cage fighting and boxing, training in MMA, hoping to garner attention from Batman and be recruited into Batman Incorporated. Luke's dreams would come true, and he would be recruited to take up a mantle as the new Batwing and become the Batman of Africa. He is not only a skilled fighter with a brilliant mind, but Luke is also a great leader, like Batman and like his father, and is considered a tactical genius. Number 3. Jarro. Jarro is Batman's adopted son. He is genetically related to Starro, as he came into existence by forming from a surviving tissue sample that Batman had of the evil alien being known as Starro. He gets his name because that sample was kept in a jar. Jarro is not only capable of flight and telepathy, but he also has genius level intellect. Although technically Jarro comes from the supremely evil Starro, he loves Batman like a father, and there is nothing he wouldn't do for him. Also, I just love Jarro, he's super cute, even though he's only been in a few things. Number 2. Catwoman. Catwoman over the years has been a powerful ally to Bruce and occasionally posed as a powerful villain as well. Selina and Bruce may not have ended up tying the knot, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't consider Catwoman an extended member of the Bat family. She's been around as long as Dick Grayson, since 1940, and is one of the people that Batman trusts the most. In fact, she really should just be considered a straight up member at this point, not even extended. She's not just a super accomplished thief, but is also a skilled, unarmed, and armed combatant who is known for her agility. Number 1. Lucius Fox. Lucius Fox is one of Batman's closest friends and most trusted allies. He has been around for a long time too, first appearing in Batman issue 307 in 1979. Not quite as long as Catwoman, but still pretty impressive. Although Lucius is not known for his physical prowess, he is one of the smartest and most gifted businessmen and sometimes inventors in the world, which is what makes him such a powerful friend and ally to Bruce and to Wayne Enterprises. Currently in continuity, Lucius is the CEO of Wayne Enterprises, having risen in the company since his first appearance in the New Earth continuity, where he was originally helping Bruce to run a charity organization. Bruce noticed Fox's prowess early on and quickly made him his personal assistant and financial advisor, very much valuing Lucius for his business savvy. There have been many times where it has been up to Lucius to save Wayne Enterprises and ensure it stays afloat. And without Wayne Enterprises or his money, it would be very hard for Bruce as Batman to accomplish all that he sets out to do. Also, can we just talk about Morgan Freeman playing Lucius Fox in the Dark Knight movies? So good! So awesome. Ugh, Lucius Fox is great. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. Who are some of your favorite Bat family members? Are there any that we still have not mentioned? Which team-ups between the Bat family members have been your favorites? Let us know in the comments below. And before you go, it's time for a quick honorary mention. There are a few other Bat family members I could talk about, like Batman of the Future, Terry McGinnis, Michael Lane, or David Zavimbe, the original Batwing. But I want to highlight another recent addition to the Bat family, at least for now. A surprise edition at that. Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn has recently teamed up with Batman in the last few issues of the Batman comic during the Joker War event. It's been awesome to see her operate as more of an anti-hero than ever as she teams up with Batman, basically saving his bat butt and helping to take down Punchline and the Joker. I don't think she'll be sticking around long term, but we've been getting some awesome moments between her and Bats and her joining the Bat family that I just wanted to acknowledge. And that's all the time we have today. Be sure to let us know what you're thinking of Joker War in the comments below. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you, till next time, to stay nerdy, YouTube. It's really hard for me to only pick 20. Batmite came for a dimension where he and the other imps idolized... and the other imps, that's kind of a weird thing to say. Which caused a rift... I guess I'll say Red Robin actually. Just go back, I'm gonna say Red Robin, because it's a little confusing. Training in MMA. Training in the MMA. The MMA, right?
No, I think it's in actually.
Pardon? It's in? So it's not the MMA.
Yeah, mixed martial arts. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, so in, yeah.
What's going on, Top 10 Nerd family, and welcome back to the nerdiest page on YouTube ever. End of story. That's it. Superman. He's one of the most popular DC superheroes for good reason. He's super memorable, whether it's the red cape or the big giant S pasted onto his chest. Whatever it is, we don't really forget about this guy. The symbolic S has been used in pop culture many times, and of course, the odds are that one of you at some point pretended like you were Superman are pretty high. Maybe you threw a towel over your shoulder and started jumping around. One time when I was little, this is a true story, I watched Superman on TV. So then I took the couch cushions off and then put them on the ground, and then I jumped on the flat springy part of the couch and I would do flips onto the cushions. Pretty sweet, right? No, that is until a spring popped out and cut through my toe and my toe almost popped off. Needless to say, the Superman family has been inspiring kids to do some pretty crazy stuff. I'm Taylor McWatters, and in no particular order because they're all way too similar, here are the top 10 most powerful Superman family members. Number 10, Cal Kent. Yep, kicking off the list at number 10, we got Cal Kent, aka the future Superman. Yeah, I said future Superman. You didn't, your ears work fine. Coming from the 853rd century, making his debut in JLA, issue 23 back in 1998, this Superman looks very similar to our normal Superman that we would normally recognize. And he includes all the Kryptonian powers as well, but he is from the future. So he's got some extra powers, which is pretty scary considering Superman is already pretty overpowered. He can even punch through time. Guys, he can punch through time. He has telepathy, he has telekinesis, and super thought? Yeah, that's right. He can figure out a bunch of math problems at the same time. That's the future brain right there. Oh, and also, don't even get me started on force vision. That's just unfair, to say the least. And number 9, Superwoman Lois Lane. First making her comic book debut in 1938 in Action Comics number 1, Lois Lane is the love interest of Supes himself. She was a reporter for the Daily Planet. On a different number of occasions, Clark's one true love, Lois Lane, has actually gained his abilities and taken on the mantle of, yep, you guessed it, Superwoman. Most notably among these was when Superman created the exogenes formula. That was designed so that Lois could pretty much feel the same things that Superman was feeling. So if he was flying and doing some Superman stuff, she would feel that too. They were like connected. She was actually able to replicate Kal-El's abilities at the same power levels because the number of times she's been powered up. She doesn't really make the top of the list, but she's definitely still up there and counts as a superhero or another version of Superman. So we can't not include her, obviously. Number 8, Superboy. Also known as Connor, or even cooler, Con-El. He made his debut in 1993 Adventures of Superman issue 500. Superboy was created to essentially be a replacement for Superman. So after Superman died fighting Doomsday, Project Cadmus then used Kryptonian DNA to make Superboy. They wanted a new hero. They wanted to feel safe, so why not just make a clone of the caped hero? Not a bad idea at all. Cadmus wasn't able to get Superman's DNA, so they grabbed a human clone and made it look like him. Cause, I mean, you know, close enough. Well, it turns out if you put a clone near the grave of a dead Supe, you get some powers. See, Superman's bioelectric aura was absorbed by the clone, and thus was given tactile telekinesis, which means you can simulate the powers of Superman. For a small amount of time, he even rocked the high-tech visor to solve that problem, even giving him heat and x-ray vision. The whole t-shirt, the goggles, it's a good combo, I dig it. He looks cool. Number 7, Superboy. But this time, it's Jonathan Samuel Kent. Cool middle name too. My middle name's Douglas, and that's, you know, my middle name's Douglas. He's fairly new to the game, only making his first appearance in Convergence Superman issue 2, and he's actually going to be in a live-action show titled Superman and Lois, coming out on the CW next year, or hopefully next year, with the world being the world. With Jordan Elsass playing none other than Jonathan Kent himself. And we can't wait. The creator of the character, Dan Jurgens, says that Jonathan looks like Clark Kent, but he has the Lois Spitfire attitude and inquisitiveness. And if you've seen Little Fires Everywhere, you should be pretty excited to see him play the character. I think my favorite thing about this dude is his disguise. He just rocks the shades and baseball cap and becomes more cool somehow. And his actual outfit, don't even get me started. The ripped jeans, the red sneaks. This was like every guy that I went to high school with. Like I saw him and I'm like, oh, that looks like Brad, or Mike, or Dylan, or Dave, or Tom. The hoodie slash cape situation too, nice touch. Even cooler about this guy is that he's friends with the other super son, Damian Wayne. They got on each other's nerves, sure, but that's what happens when two dudes are being dudes. They always end up teaming together when it mattered anyway, so you gotta love Jonathan Kent. And number 6, Super Pets. Of course, I have to include the dog. I mean, whenever people would ask me about my family members, I would always include the little doggos. Krypto was actually the test pilot for the ship that carried baby Kal-El to Earth. Kind of like when humans launched that space dog, Laika, into orbit in 1957. The only difference was that Krypto, super dog, his ship went off course, and the dude ended up drifting into space for years. That's even longer in dog years. I mean, poor dude. I'd be so bored. No milk bones on board or anything for this guy? Come on. That's a lie. I actually really want to go to space. But don't worry, Krypto's ship ended up finding Kal-El's ship after it landed on Earth. So when Kal-El was a teenager, this dog just landed from space. That would be a cool birthday gift. Here's a space dog. Go check your front lawn. So you're probably thinking, does this dog also have superpowers? Yes, of course, or he wouldn't be on this list. If for some reason you only want to read about Krypto, you can start with Adventure Comics issue 210. And if that wasn't weird enough, there's also a super cat in the mix. That's right, Streaky the super cat. The two pets ended up joining the League of Super Pets, which is pretty hilarious and kind of cool. I'd watch that series. That was a Netflix series, I'd dive in. Number 5, Supergirl, Kara Zor-El. Much like how Krypto was sent to Earth, Superman's older cousin, Kara Zor-El, was also sent to Earth. She was sent from the dying planet Krypton, of course, to protect Clark Kent. Well, rather, Kal-El. But of course, as fate would have it, she was knocked off course by the explosion of her home planet. Bummer. So she ended up in the Phantom Zone. Now, in the Phantom Phantom Zone, you can stay there for decades and not age, and that's actually what Kara did. After her pod finally escaped, she landed on Earth and soon joined the Danvers family. Imagine a 13-year-old girl just falling out of the sky. Like, how many are there? Holy shit. Now, of course, if you want to see her in action, you can catch the hit show Supergirl. Only 3 different actors have played her, the most recent and current run being portrayed by Melissa Benoist. If you start binging it now, you can probably catch up for the 6th and final season that is supposedly airing next year. But if you want to start reading from her comic book origins, you can find her first debut in Action Comics issue 252. Number 4, Power Girl. Zara Zor-El is Earth 2's older counterpart of Supergirl, hence why I put her here in the list. Wild, right? He's crazy. If it's confusing, just know that in order to tell the difference, it's spelled with a letter L rather than the other Supergirl, who is EL. So making her first comic book debut back in All-Star Comics 1976, Kara Zor-El, or rather Power Girl, was sent to Earth the same time as Superman, but her ship was way slower, so she arrived much later. So that was their way of sneaking another character in there and trying to make it make sense. And it worked. We bought it. I'm a fan of Power Girl. She's a badass. This girl doesn't take anything. Her origins have changed multiple times, like now she's Atlantean, and she in fact can hold kryptonite too. Doesn't hurt her. So that's wild. Like I said, badass. If you're wondering what does hurt Power Girl, the answer is wood. Yeah, she doesn't do too well against natural elements of Earth, so if you're thinking about doing a camping trip, I don't think Kara Zor-El will be down for said trip. Number 3, Nightwing, Zod. He is the son of General Zod and Ursa. They gave birth to him in the Phantom Zone, and you guessed it, he arrived by pod to Earth. The classic, it's like an Uber. Like, hey, you getting a pod? Yeah, I'm gonna get a pod. In like 2 decades though, I'll be a little bit late. So this young boy was lifting TV sets over his head, and everybody was soon looking his direction, being like, how is this possible? So the Department of Metahuman Affairs, or that one doesn't work, decided to take the boy to a secret place in Washington to do tests and all that jazz. But they didn't tell Superman. Eeks. So he was pretty pissed. He broke Zod out and then convinced Lois to adopt the young boy, naming him Christopher Kent. And yes, he's also immune to kryptonite, but of course he's got the superpowers to go along with it. The most unique ability Christopher Kent has is that of telekinesis. And number 2, Mon-El. When Mon-El arrived to Earth, people of course assumed it was a brother of Superman or something along those lines. I mean, these guys are falling out of the sky every other day. I mean, what else is new? So yeah, he's got some similar powers as the Man of Steel, but the thing that makes him stand out the most is the fact that this guy's weakness is lead. Yeah, like pencil lead. Lead. Never ask this guy to take notes, you might literally kill him. Making his comic book debut in Superboy Volume 1, Issue 89 in 1961, he's also known as Lar-Gand. He's immune to kryptonite, of course. I mean, he's got the lead problem, so you can't make him weak to kryptonite. That would just be unfair. Mon-El got his name simply by the day of the week he arrived. He arrived to Earth on a Monday, so Clark Kent named him Mon-El. The L, of course, matching Superman's maiden name. And finally, number 1, Superman. Of course, I'm saving the man himself for our last spot. There's been so many movies and TV shows for Batman and Superman that at this point, it becomes a full-on conversation when it comes to who plays the Caped Crusaders on the big screen the best. See, I personally think Henry Cavill is a great Superman, and it's honestly a shame that he's not down to reshoot footage for the Justice League Snyder Cut. I mean, I get it, it's probably not easy to wake up early, get ripped, and do stuff like that. I mean, you know, you have a job, you're doing other gigs, but like all that hype around the director's cut, just throw a cape on, go punch some stuff, we'll do the rest, we'll CGI the rest. His origins go back to Action Comics number 1, way back, I'm talking 1938. That's like as old as my grandma or someone's grandma, probably. So after his homeworld Krypton was dying, Kal-El was sent to Earth after being adopted by the Kent family. He soon discovered that he was able to run faster than a train. So something must be up at this point. The Kents told Clarky that people will be afraid of him if he doesn't just play it cool, you know? I mean, and we saw this in Man of Steel when he pulls the bus out of the water. The kids weren't too chill about that. Grateful, but also super questionable. His foster parents, of course, gave him the name Kent. His foster mother Martha and father Jonathan. Look, a lot of people give Batman vs Superman a hard time because of the whole Martha turning point at the climax. Look, I personally like that moment. Everybody always says, oh, why wouldn't he say mom? Why did he say Martha? That's weird. No, why would a dying man be like, save my mom, her name's Mom? No, he's a detective. I'm sure Superman had the idea that maybe just maybe, Batman would be able to figure out that Martha Kent is in some sort of trouble. Or at least there's a better odds than if he said mom. Plus, this Dark Knight Returns type version of Batman that we saw probably needed to hear his mom's name to remind him why he put on the cape in the first place. So let's stop arguing about that scene now. I think it's fine. It's fine. Let it go. And of course, as we also saw in that movie, Superman's main weakness is kryptonite. And Batman almost ends the Man of Steel himself by using a kryptonite spear. But of course, Superman's greatest foe is none other than Lex Luthor, who I'm going to save for another video because that guy is a piece of work. Well, there you have it, guys. Now, I know there's many more Superman family members that we can talk about, either clones, alternate versions, whatever the case. There's quite a bit, so it's only fair if we leave a couple fun ones for part 2. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Make sure to drop a like on the video. And also, if you're not subscribed, go do that right now and then head over and click those notifications on. That way, when we do live premieres of videos, you can hop in the chat with us and we can geek out and talk shop together. I'm Taylor McWatters. See you next time.